Hey, what is going on everybody? Obesity Prime here, and today kind of have a new video for you to talk about the preseason. This is not a guide video. Like I said, I will be doing one of those maybe a month or so into the actual season to give Riot time to make their adjustments, which we all know they're going to do to their items. So I don't want to give you something and then have something be different when the season starts. So look out for that in the future. But for right now, I just want to go over what we're working with right now, because there are some changes to ruins and we do have the new items, and I kind of just want to steer you in that direction. So this video is primarily geared towards AP Shaco, primarily, as well support. If you play AD, I'm sorry guys, but we will get to that hopefully eventually in the future. But for right now, let's get into this video.
For my next trick, I'll make you disappear. Now you see me, now you don't.
Alrighty, so let's get into this. I don't want to spend too much time here because everything's pretty much the same. I always get asked what is the best one or what do you go, so I'm just going to quickly go over the ruins here. I just also want to say these are just my opinions. You don't have to go this types of builds. You could do whatever you want. I really don't care. But if you're asking me, this is what I'm going to recommend. So if you are new to Shaco, thinking about playing Shaco, or have less than 100 games, this is the build I'd recommend for you, just so you can get some more practice in with him. It fixes the 3 core problems, well, we could say 4 core problems with him. Number 1, his small, very low mana pool. Without mana, he can't use any of his abilities. He has a low regen, so he can't spam his abilities. He has high cooldowns, so we're going to resolve that as well. And you can also throw in low damage, but maybe I'll give you that one. So sorcery tree is the tree that you want to have, either your primary or your secondary, for the changes made to transcendence. So let's just quickly go over the main build that I would say for you newbies to take. That is number 1, comment. Sorcery is your main comment to give you more poke damage. This can be triggered off your box, so you know they walk into a box, they get smacked with comment, more damage, more poke damage. That's all this is, poke. Boom. Next up is mana flow ban. This will resolve 2 of those problems that we talked about. Once you hit your continue to hit champions, you'll get up to 250 mana, increasing your pool, and once it's maxed, you'll get 1% of your missing mana every 5 seconds. That is a increase to your mana regen. Now to the new part, which is transcendence. Before, you had to wait till level 10 to get 10 CDR. Now that we have ability haste, you do get that 10 ability haste. I don't think it equals the same amount, but you get that at level 8. But the main point here is at level 11, champion takedowns reduce remaining cooldowns of basic abilities by 20%. That is huge! So that's what I like there. That's why I would recommend it. If you're going primary, you're going to take this, pretty much this build right here. If you're secondary, I would say it pretty much needs to be these 2 right here. Again, you can go Scorch or Gathering Storm. It's up to you. I really have no preference. This was more just tax on a little bit more damage to comment in your boxes, so they take a little bit more damage. It's not game changing. I mean, you could go this, especially if you're in lower tiers, lower level gameplay. Games can tend to go around 30 minutes, 40, so you know you can benefit from that 40 to 80 AP. Just saying, it's up to you. It doesn't really matter. The last one's up to you, but these 3 are a given. And then your secondary can be whatever you want. It doesn't matter. There's tons of good ones. I would recommend Ravenous Hunter for the Omnivamp. I think it's slightly better than the changes they made to Cosmic Insight, but just slightly, in my opinion, right? You'll get 11% Omnivamp, which, you know, helps with your sustain. But if you don't want to go that, you can choose between on kills, health, mana, if they have tons of CDR. Why do I keep saying CDR? Tons of CC, you go tenacity, and of course coup de grace. So whatever one you want here is fine, or that, whatever. Again, I would say this and this, Ravenous for the healing. If you were to go this, I'd say Bone Pitting and Unflinching for the CC reduction as well. And then obviously this is more of a friendlier one, just because you get some more in-lane sustain with the biscuits, and increases your mana by 150, so now you'll have 400. This item haste, I don't know, I guess if you're going with active items you could, but the only good thing here is plus 15 summoner spell haste, which again I don't know how good that is now, so that's why I would probably just say go this. You know, so you're guaranteed 11% roughly if you max it out on the event. And then for your adaptives, you can go +8 ability haste, but I tend to do 1 in offensive and then adjust double resistance to whatever I'm up against, right? If it's a Caitlyn, Senna, you're definitely going to want double armor just because you're going to get poked. They have huge range. If they have 2 APs, maybe that bottom, like a Vigar and a Swain, you know, you do something like that. But also account for the rest of the team as well. If they got like an AD top, an AD jungle, and like only 1 AP, then you probably go that. You'll be okay. Up to you. If you're not gonna go this build because you're a hard ass, so let's see. The only option would be that I would recommend would be Domination Tree, and I think Electrocute is better than Dark Harvest, hands down. Just looking at the base numbers, 20 to 60, 30 to 180. 0.4 AD scaling, 0.25 AD scaling, 20-second cooldown, 20 to 25 second cooldown, and then 0.25 AD, 0.15. So on the base stats, level 1, Electrocute wins, and Dark Harvest only gets better if you continue to get Dark Harvest stacks. So I think the most I've ever gotten was maybe 26 in a game. That put this up to about 240, which, I mean, if you account for the 180 plus 0.25 AP, they're roughly the same. I would say Electrocute is always going to be better. You hear that? Who doesn't like that sound when you smack someone upside the head? And then of course you can go, I would say since you're a support, either one of these is fine. You'll be placing wards, so you'll get the bonus from the Ghost Portal, plus it extends the wards a little bit longer if they're not destroyed, and you'll be going sweeper eventually, so you can sweep wards and place your own. Again, I would say Ravenous is better than Ultimate, but if you want the ultimate cooldown reduction, you can't go with that. I would prefer the Sustain. And then again, you can go Sun and Impact. You can go Taste of Blood if you want a little bit of poke, sustain, heal. If they have some good poke, like I said, Senna and Caitlyn, you could go Taste of Blood for when they walk into your boxes. You get a little bit more health. So that's what I would say. What I do, and just because Aftershock has come in handy so many times and preventing my death, I still pretty much run Aftershock because I do like the increase in defensive stats. It kind of throws the enemy off. They think, okay, he's gonna Q in, he places a box, I'm gonna kill this weak ass Shaco. That's what they think. Come on, let's be real. And then my Aftershock procs, and they're shooting me, and they're like, how come he's not taking any damage? And then, you know, you get almost 3 seconds to, you know, get a couple autos in, throw an E, stay in the fray a little bit longer. It's come in handy. It's saved me plenty of times. And then I kind of dance between Demolition and Font of Life. If I want to give my AD champs or my team some healing, I'll go in here. It's not phenomenal, but you know, you can go that. Or if you want to destroy towers a little bit quicker, if you feel like your team's gonna get the upper hand, you can go Demolition. I alternate. It depends. I don't know. It's just looking at the team. And then now I've adapted into this just because it's so good. And like I said, I'll double up. So this is my rune that I tend to go majority of the time. I do go the other builds that I've showed you. But if you're new, I would say go with the comment, learn the champion, and then expand on out to other ones. This is for AP Shaco, to reiterate. Alright, AD, Hellblades. I don't know what else you would go. But let's move on to the items now. Alright, so lastly we're going to talk about these items, the new preseason items. So before we jump in, I would recommend you do something kind of like I did and break up the items that you feel you want to use into something like this to make it more digestible to read. Because I'm kind of visual, so when the new items came in and you press tab to look at what they have, the enemy has, I don't know what the hell they have. I was like, what is that item? What is this item? So I had to spend a lot more time trying to learn what they have. I had to hover over, and it just takes away. And at the same day, I don't want to be dealing with that with my champion. There was a time I spent maybe like 20 seconds in the fountain reading an item description to see if I wanted it or not. So doing this, take the time, go into your items, look at all the items for AP, and partition them off nicely. That way you don't have to spend time at the shop thinking about what you want. And let me show you exactly what I mean. So starting items. So this little section covers all the starting items I would get as top laner, a jungler, support, and possibly mid as well. So the one thing that I like there's two things that I like about the new item setup. Number one is that they put the consumables, the pots and shit like that, off to the side along with your boots. So they're right there, easy to access along the sides, right? If this is the shop window, they're right here. You can grab them, easy peasy. I like that, okay? I'll talk about the other thing I like later on. Thing I don't like, and I actually will start and I'll get into what I don't like. So as you can see here, starting items, corrupting pot, Dorn's ring, right? These are dark seal. These are all starting items for like top. This is my sapphire crystal and fairy charm just for mana if I need it early game at any point, right? Here are my jungle items if I want to go, and then my support items. Easy peasy, what I want, whatever I'm doing is right there. Move on down. We have beneficial items. I'll come back to this later and explain that, but let's go down to mythic AP. So here are the mythic AP items that I think are worth your time on Shaco. Starting with Leandras, number one, best item, hands down. There's no debating it. It is the best item, probably for any AP champion in my opinion, but for Shaco, number one. If you do not know what other item you want to go here, this is number one. This is king. Alright, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Exactly the same, except for now it shreds 25% magic resist. Stellar. Everfrost is your new GLP. I think it's better than the old GLP for the fact that it gives you health. I think it gives you a slightly better AP, maybe. The main fact is that it roots, right? So what you could do with this, if you get this item, I haven't experimented with it a lot. I think I've only played 2 games. But what you could do is you can queue in, right, on maybe an immobile mid laner. So let's say, for example, maybe they have a Vel'Koz mid or Xerath. You queue in, you run up, you place a box right behind them because it takes about 2 seconds for your box to arm. And then you push this and you root them. Make sure you root them in the center because that is a 1.5 second root. And then as they try to run away, you know, they may get feared by the box. So it's a really good CC setup. Plus it does provide peel if you're, you know, you guys are getting run down. Shoot this out, slows them down. So this is a very good item. Again, if you're a GLP fan, go Everfrost. It's awesome. Next up is Rocket Belt. Same thing as before. If you're a top laner, Shaco, you could go this item. I haven't used it at all. I haven't played top necessarily to where I would want this item, but it's exactly the same. Nothing different there. Next 3 items are new. This is like your Gunblade, I would say, in a sense. So what it does is, if you get this item, it'll put like a little green dot around the enemies that you can proc this off of. The one thing I don't like is how long the cooldown is per champion. It's 40 seconds, that's really long. But it does do a lot of damage. I think it's like 200, you know, it's like a Gunblade proc, you know, the active on the Gunblade. But you can use it on every single champion, and every 40 seconds it will refresh. And you know, this will proc off your box, your auto attacks, your E. So it's a way to enhance damage. So for example, say you go in the sorcerer build, right? You have Comet and Scorch. You have this, they walk into your box. Normally when someone walks into your box, they'll take 1 or 2 hits from the box, right? And that's a low amount. Maybe we'll say 50 damage. They'll get feared, they'll take 2 hits and they'll run away. With this now, you add on the damage from Scorch, so that's an extra 15. You add on the damage from Comet, which is another 30 to 50. And then you add the about 200 here. So there, you know, you walk into that box, take 2 hits with all your stuff active. You know, they're taking, in fact, maybe like 200 damage, 200 to 250 damage, depending on how much magic resist they have, just from taking 2 shots from a box. That's crazy. So this will add a lot of poke damage to your arsenal. That's what I would say this is for. And I'll talk about this later on as well in the beneficial item as well. Since it is a mythic, you can only have one. Next up is Riftmaker. This goes good with the Omni Vamp that I was talking about in the domination tree as a secondary. Because here you get 15 plus 11 is 26 Omni Vamp. And if you combine that with Spirit Visage, you're going to get a lot of sustain. It's crazy. Just don't put yourself in a bad spot. But also Void Corruption. And I do like the mythic passive here, is you get 5 magic penetration, so that's good, shredding a little bit. But you get an increase in damage up to 15%, and the maximum strength bonus damage converted into true damage. So you start to do true damage longer in your fights, and since you'll have more sustain, you can stay in those fights a little bit longer, especially if it's up against maybe some AP matchups, because you will be going, you know, you should, I would say you should grab Spirit Visage in here too. Increase that healing. And then lastly is Imperial Mandate. Really good item for support Shaco. since you'll have your ADC in lane with you, that's pretty much how this works. Yes, it's a little bit weaker in the AP, but you get some good health, some good ability haste, and 100% mana regen. But when you slow or immobilize, that's your E, your box, or your clone explosion, you deal an extra 60 to 100% damage, and then they're marked. They'll get this purple thing on them, and then an ally will detonate that mark, dealing 60 to 100% based on their levels. So your damage is based on your level, and then their damage is based on their level. Magic, so it'll do extra damage, so anywhere between 120 to 200, and it grants you both 2 move speeds. So if you're trying to kite and stuff like that, or chase someone down, and you manage to smack them with your E, they'll get marked. Your ADC hopefully will be in range to hit them again, and then you both get that speed boost to catch up and close out that kill. So it's a good kind of kill, kind of peel type of item. It's really good. I've used it a couple times now. I kind of do like what it provides. But yeah, so those are your main mythic AP items. Moving on down to, as you can see, normal AP items. So once you build your mythic, this is the wide variety that you have to choose from. Obviously, a lot of these are exactly the same items. For example, Morales is cheaper now. You lose 50 health. I think it was before 300. But the difference here, and why I would recommend Morales over the other AP, which is Chem Tome or something like that, you don't have to do anything. As long as the enemy is below 50% health, Grievous Runes is increased to 60%. Easy, straightforward, very cheap. Again, Zhonya's another cheap item, does exactly what it did before. Void does exactly what it did before. Banshee's Veils does exactly what it did before. This is your non-mythic old school Leandras, right? 1.5 magic per second. Basically your old Leandras. If you don't go Leandras up here, you could stack both. I've tried to stack both in games, but games end so quickly, I wasn't able to try them and see how exactly well it does. But if you were to go one of these, you can pick this up, since it does give you bonus armor stats and stuff like that. It's a really good item. 300% health, more defensive stats, more health. It's usually an item I tend to go just because of the benefits it provides. Obviously, Lichbane, Rabadon's exactly the same. I think the increase in total AP power is increased here. Wasn't it like 40 before, or 20? I don't remember. Maybe there was a change there. Rallies, they increased the price here by 400, gave you an extra 50 health, I think, and increased the slow by 10%. I don't think you would want this, especially if you go Everfrost. I think Everfrost is better than this. And then Nashor's too definitely has 100 AP power. Again, you probably wouldn't go these two, but what you could do is, if you wanted to go more of like an AP assassin on hit kind of Shaco, you can go Night Harvester with Lichbane and Nashor's too. That's one build I have not tried out. I have gotten these two built together, but other than that, I don't think you would ever probably want to go Nashor's Tooth. I mean, in some cases you could, if you were going for a hybrid build. Yeah, definitely go that. We'll talk about that later on. But again, here we go down to the defensive stats. Since I tend to go sometimes tank Shaco, I have my mythic defense items and my normal defense items. Wow, look at the variety. So I have not used Locket of the Iron, sorry. I have used Sunfire Aegis, it's okay. I have not used Turbo Chem Tank, which I want to, and then I have not used RUNES Omen. So here's where I'm going to talk about why I hate the new changes. Before, you could have, for the last 10 seasons, you can have Locket of the Iron, sorry, Sunfire Cape, and Randuin's Omen in your inventory. You could have all three of these and be fine. Now, you have to choose between one of them. Fucking bullshit. They say they're increasing the way that you can make new builds and stuff like that, how you can customize a little bit more. At least that's what I got from it. You can now try new builds. No, you cannot try new builds. You're limited in what you can do. You choose one of these, you lose the other three. Same thing here. You choose one of these, lose the other three. I don't like that, how they're limiting. And then you have to choose between these fucking items, which are pretty much the exact same items. So what is changing? Nothing's really changing here. You get some lifesteal, you get some extra damage, you get some move speed, you get some slow. The exact same shit. I don't know. Maybe I'm ranting a little bit too much, but I don't like how they are limiting you to one item. I think that's bullshit. They may need to tone these back on what they do, but open it back up and let me grab whatever the hell I want. So here are your normal defensive items, exact same things. Thornmail, Frozen Heart. I don't like the change they made to Abyssal Mask. I'd rather have it the way it was before. But if you're going to go a magic resist item, these are pretty much the two that you need, hands down. Force of Nature, Spirit Visage. These are the only two magic resist items you would ever need, possibly, at all, and for any champion. Force Nature is really good. This increases your healing. And that's pretty much the items, guys. You know, I'm still experimenting, seeing what I like the best and stuff like that, ways we can... Oh, I forgot my beneficial items. So this is the one good thing, one of the good things that came out on top of the pots and boots off to the side. It's beneficial items. So before, if you wanted Grievous Wounds as an AP champ, you had to spend 300 gold. I mean 3,000 gold. Now, just like they did before, you only need to spend 800 to get your Grievous Wounds. Wow. It took them 10 seasons to make that kind of thing, huh? But this is something I like. So if you're an AP champion, you spend your 800 gold. It is a non-mythic item, so it can build into something that you use later on. Same thing for Thornmail. If I'm going more of a tanky build, I'll just grab Thornmail's Vest for its Grievous Wounds. And again, Blight Jewel is a build into Void Staff, so you can get at least a 15% magic pen up front for that. So here are the two that you cannot use if you don't go their particular item. So if I were to go Everfrost, I cannot build into these items, but I would say they're pretty good to pick up. For example, this is your Revolver. So as we know, with old Revolver, I think it only procced on attacks, but this procs on any type of attack you do. It just damaging an enemy, it'll proc this extra magic damage, 50 to 125. Really good for 1,050, and if you were to sell it back later on for something better, initially for this 50 to 125 extra damage on your skills, it only cost you maybe like 500 gold. So 500 gold to get this bonus. Like I said, you'll sell it maybe in terms, if you're going for your death cap or something like that, you would sell it. But in the early game, you get this item, you get this, and then get this. You know, you get some extra damage and Grievous Wounds to hold you off. So again, here with Leeching Lair, not a bad item for 1,300, right? That's pretty much what the old Scepter cost, right? 1,300, maybe. No, oh no, it was 900. So whatever. So for an extra couple gold, you get 20 ability power, 150 health, not bad. 10% Omnivamp. Again, you combine this with Ravenous Hunter, so you'll have 21% Omnivamp just sitting on this item and scaling up your other one. So I do like the beneficial item section just to sit on some of these items if I need them. So it'd be good to just have, you know, a little bit of Grievous Wounds, a little bit of health sustain, a little bit of magic pen, a little bit extra more damage. You know what I'm saying? Until you build into those particular items. So that's where we pretty much stand, guys. As we all know, things are subjected to change by the time the season starts. That's why I said I'll give it maybe a month or so once the new season starts. Just so they can work out all the balance changes that they're going to do with the champions and with the items, because we know some changes are coming. So without further ado, that is the end of this video. Be on the lookout. I know I didn't show some clips for some of the other items here, but I have a couple videos for it. So Sunfire Aegis, I have a video for that ready that I'm working on, and Leandras Anguish as well. So be on the lookout for those two videos, just showcasing what they can do and how that game went. Yeah, have a good one, guys. Cheers.
For my next trick, I'll make you disappear.